guys, it's Tori and welcome to another video. As you can tell, this is very informal because I am going to be doing the try a chapter book challenge, book tag. I'm not really sure what it is or who started it, so if you did, thank you. Feel free to comment below if you want me to tag your video or something, but it's been something that's kind of gone around. I don't remember exactly like the original version of it, what they had you do or anything, but most people have just been doing it for either like unhauling books and figuring out what books to unhaul, or they'll do it for what book should I read next. For me, doing what book should I read next because I just finished Agnes Grey by Anne Bronte, and suffice to say it was one of my favorite books, probably one of my new favorite books of all time, and I'm just really in a reading mood after reading that. But I have several books I'm interested in reading, so we're going to do the try a chapter tag. This may end up being a 2-day project just cause, I mean, maybe not, it shouldn't be, I don't know. We'll just see what happens. My mom's been watching true crime documentaries and I've just been drawn in, and so I might end up getting sucked in before the end of the day. It's like almost 5 o'clock right now, so the day I'm filming this, so I'm not sure what's gonna happen this evening. So it might carry on in tomorrow. If it does, you'll know because I'll change clothes and probably tell you. Anyway, let's just talk about what books I'm going to try out. I have 2 classics and 2 non-classics. So first of all, the 2 classics I'm going to try out are, first of all, Desperate Remedies by Thomas Hardy, which is his first novel. Heard it's very dramatic. It's a little bit on the longer side page-wise compared to the other editions of his other books that I have, but I feel like because it's more plot-driven, it'll suck me in fast and I'll be able to get it done before the end of the month. I have about 2 weeks before the end of the month, so I should be able to finish at least one of these, if not multiple, but we'll see. Then I have here a book I've actually started, and that is North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell. I've only read a couple pages of it just because I wanted to test it. I've just heard so much about Elizabeth Gaskell. I was like, will I like her writing? Do I want to try it? So tried it, and I do like her writing. This is a longer book. I think my copy is around 500 pages. And it has pretty small writing on all the pages, so definitely a longer one, but still 2 weeks is very possible to finish this in 2 weeks. Yes, so I'll give that one a shot. And for my non-classics, I have here The Birth of Venus by Sarah Dunant. This is a historical fiction set in the Italian Renaissance, which I've read very, very little of. I can only think off the top of my head of one Italian Renaissance historical fiction I've read, and I really enjoyed it. It wasn't like the best book ever, but it did have an impact on me and it made me interested in the time period. I know literally nothing else about this besides when it's set, so, and that it follows women who are forced into marriage. I don't really know much else about it, but it sounds good and I feel like I might be interested in that right now. And last I think this is a fantasy, I'm pretty sure it's a fantasy, but it is The Queens of Innis Lear by Tessa, which is a retelling of King Lear from the perspective of his daughters. That's literally all I solidly know about it. I recently read King Lear and really liked it, and I feel like a retelling of it would be so fun. So I feel like I have a good chance of enjoying this. It is pretty long. Also, beautiful floppy paperback that I'm sure me along with many, many other people are obsessed with. But yeah, it's nearly 600 pages. It's about 574 pages, I think. Yeah. And the writing on each page, there's a decent amount on each page, as you can see. So it's definitely a longer one, but again, 2 weeks. I feel like I can definitely at least finish this, if nothing else, within those 2 weeks. So, I'm not really sure which one I'm going to start with. I think actually I'm going to start with The Queens of Innis Lear, actually. So, I will read the first chapter of this. Let me see, how long is it? Well, they have like a prelude kind of thing that is only 4 pages long. And then the first chapter, 10 pages, so I'll probably read both of those and then get back to you with my thoughts. Alright, so I just finished the first couple chapters of The Queens of Innis Lear and I am really liking it already. There's a good chance this is going to be my choice. The first little prelude section thing, I wasn't sure about it because I was just really confused. I feel like it's definitely a section that if I reread it after completing the book, it'll make a lot more sense and I'll appreciate it more. But reading it right now, it's just like, it was just a lot of like different things happening and different hints at things happening, and I was like, I don't even understand this world yet. I'm very confused. There's some world building that needs to happen before I can really feel comfortable with it, because even just within the whole part that I read, there was hints at world building and I was able to get a little bit of a sense of it, but this is clearly a more complex fantasy world. Definitely an adult read, which for some reason I think I went into this thinking it was YA, but it's definitely an adult fantasy for sure, based just solely on what I read so far. But I have high hopes for this now. I mean, I had high hopes before, but now I'm really looking forward to getting more into it, and I really hope it doesn't disappoint me. I've heard it's a little slower, but I don't have a problem with slower, especially fantasy reads, because I feel like that gives it time to world build and get to know the characters. As long as the writing itself pulls me in, then the plot is allowed to take time, if that makes sense. And this definitely has that. So it's a little flowery, so some people might not love it, and there were parts of it that I was like, okay, like talking about the land, that I was like, let's move on. This feels very flowery, but I feel like it's flowery for a reason. I just don't know it yet. I think I'm gonna do North and South next. Just finish the first chapter that I've already started, which will take me, I think it'll be about 7 pages left of the first chapter that I haven't read yet, so that shouldn't take me too long. Okay, so I just finished the first chapter of North and South. It's been like an hour and a half since I last updated you because I had dinner and stuff, but I did finish this and I am really liking it. I feel like I might pick the Queens of Innis Lear over this one at least, but that being said, I definitely want to get to this soon, and it's like one that I definitely am excited to get to when I do. I just feel like Queens of Innis Lear pulled me in a little bit more. However, maybe at the end of this I'll end up being like, actually, I want to have something more this vibe. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but as of this moment, I'm saying that Queens of Innis Lear is drawing me in a little bit more right now, but this is definitely one I'm excited to get to. It's just, I just really like the writing style, and it's a style of writing that is still very Victorian, but it's a little more simple, so it's easier to understand and read through faster, which I appreciate when I can find it. So definitely, again, excited to pick this up whenever I do. I think I'm going to take a break and watch either Little Women or Far from the Madding Crowd. Still debating with my family. And then I think after that, I think I'm gonna do Desperate Remedies next, because I think it'll be better if I pick this up when I'm a little more awake, a little less tired. Not that I'm gonna like force my way through, but I know I'll probably be a little more tired, obviously, as the night goes on. So I feel like if I get this done earlier, I'll be able to focus better on it. So this is probably going to be the next one I do, and then I'll end with The Birth of Venus, but I'll let you know officially what I end up doing when we get to that point. But I will check in with you in a couple hours to let you know that. So I just got done with the movie a little bit ago, and then I realized I had some homework I had neglected to do. So we're going to continue this video tomorrow. I knew this was going to happen when I started. I don't know why I started when I did, but beyond the fact that I just wanted to. But anyway, so sorry, this is going to go over 2 days, which is kind of ridiculous because it's not like I had to read that much. But anyway, got distracted, and I would prefer not to subject you to this awful lighting for too long, so hopefully tomorrow we'll get better lighting and I'll be able to finish off this little project. Alright, so moving on to part 2 of this video, since my timing management yesterday was not very great, I am going to pick up Desperate Remedies and read the first chapter of this. I think it's a little longer than the other ones were. It's a little confusing because there's like little I think like this first section is kind of separated into different times, different dates, and so it has dates marked, so I kind of am confused about where oh, there's chapter 2. Okay, so it starts on page 39 and ends on 52, so it's about 13 pages-ish, so we'll see how it goes. Okay, so I read the first chapter of Desperate Remedies, and sorry if it's a little echoey in here, I just realized that the room I'm in can be echoey. Anyway, I really liked the first chapter. It definitely pulled right into the action. So it starts off with a man named, oh gosh, Ambrose Gray, who is a man, an architect, who is visiting some town and ends up meeting this girl and they fall in love, but after a few weeks he ends up having to leave, and he basically pulls her aside and is like, I'm leaving, do we want to basically make this official and plan to get married so that even though I'm leaving I can find you again and whatnot. And she's kind of like, well, let me think about it. And the next day he gets a letter from her saying, sorry, this ain't gonna work. And she doesn't really give an explanation, but she goes off. There's some rumors about her having a romance with her cousin who has recently returned. He ends up going, even though he's still in love with this girl, Cytherea, I think is how you say her name, he ends up marrying a different woman, grows old, has a couple kids, his wife dies, and he names his daughter Cytherea. The chapter goes on to show that he ends up dying in an accident at work, but he had accrued a lot of debts, and so his children, his son Owen and then Cytherea, the daughter, have to figure out what to do, basically. And it's very good so far. Definitely reminded me why I love Thomas Hardy's writing so much. It pulls me in so fast. I'm still unsure which book I'm going to read next between this one and Queens of Innis Lear as of right now. North and South I'm definitely going to wait, I think, for now, but between these two, this one definitely is still in the running because I was really, really interested. Okay, so now we're going to move into the last one, The Birth of Venus, and ooh, just whacked my glasses, that's fine. The first chapter is not particularly long in this one either. It's about 10 pages, so that's pretty easy. I will check back in once I finish this and share my final thoughts and what I'm going to decide to do. Alright, I am back, even though you just saw me 2 seconds ago, but anyway, I did finish The Birth of Venus first chapter. Technically, I realized when I opened it up that there was actually a prologue, so I read both the prologue and the first chapter, and I'm really liking it so far. I found recently that I really do like books that take place in the Italian Renaissance and discuss painters, especially at that time in history, which I guess makes sense being the Italian Renaissance. But so this definitely pulled me in because it had those aspects. The first chapter and the prologue were really good and interesting, and I was definitely pulled in. It wasn't quite as gripping as some of the other books, so I don't think I'm going to read this next, although I would like to get to this as soon as possible because I was really enjoying it. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start reading The Queens of Innis Lear next. This one just really grasped me, and I've for a long time wanted to find a book that has great politics and fantastical elements, and I feel like this is going to give me that. So I think I'm going to read this one next, and if I end up having time before the end of the month, I think I'm going to pick up Desperate Remedies by Thomas Hardy. That being said, I am doing the Magical Readathon in May. I know it's, for those of you who are like, what? That's in April. Yes, I know. I just had finals in April, and I just would rather not add the pressure of a readathon on top of that. Not that it would have been that big of a deal, especially now that we're online. I just really didn't want to have to deal with that. So because of that, if I don't finish The Queens of Innis Lear fast enough, I may not be able to get to this because I don't want to start anything that will carry on too far into May, obviously. But if I do happen to finish The Queens of Innis Lear faster than I think I will, Desperate Remedies will be my other option. So I am really looking forward to picking this up, and I'm excited to let you know what my thoughts and feelings are on it at the end of the month. So anyway, thanks so much for watching. Let me know down below if you've read any of these books and your thoughts on them, or if you want to read any of these books. I'd love to know. Also, my social media links for Instagram and Goodreads are both down below as well if you're interested in following me on either of those. And I will talk to you next time. Bye!